Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic. When you're lying in bed at night, do you ever randomly remember some relatively minor social missteps or poorly chosen words you did /said years earlier? And then beat yourself up over it even though it really wasn't a big deal? If so, what happened? In 7th grade, a cute girl asked me to sit next to her. I said my mom won't let me sit next to girls. My mom said no such thing. If you said cute girls, you'd have been a total baller. So close. That level of smoothness eludes me to this day. I accidentally mixed up an inside joke with the wrong friend group with disastrous results. Friend group #1, the joke was when someone calls and asks who's all there, we would add Daryl to the list of names. Daryl wasn't a real person. The joke wasn't really funny, and made no sense out of context, but I guess that's why it was an inside joke. Friend group #2, I was hanging out playing some drinking games with a bunch of people that I hadn't hung out with in a while. It was a kind of get-together to remember a friend that they had who had recently died in a car accident. I didn't know him that well, but I was always down to party. Anyway, the phone rings, and the person who answered started listing off names. Sorting my cards for another round of presidents and assholes, I offhandedly said Hell and Daryl. It was the typical record scratch moment where everyone stopped and looked at me. Daryl was the name of the friend who had just died. This happened in 2002 and I still think about it all the time. Daryl was there in spirit and appreciated that you, at least, remembered he was there. I'm sure that's exactly what Op thinks to say all these years later, but in all actuality he just sat there and stewed in the embarrassment of the moment. Edit. It's an honor to have received a poem from the one and only you /poem_for_your_sprog. Oh man, I have a mixed up inside joke scenario. It wasn't me, it was my neighbor. My neighbor is morbidly obese and my mom is Korean, and they joke with each other about it. My neighbor makes racist comments to my mom, she makes fun of my neighbor's weight. It's just part of their friendship. They often did it in public too, but it was always obvious when they were standing next to each other that it was inside joke. At one point my neighbor was out with her husband, they're both white. She was at a checkout counter when she blithely remarked about all the damn Koreans taking over the region. The checkout lady just stares at her. Then the husband leaned over and said, "It's not as funny when Dragomem's mom isn't standing next to you." Cue my horrified neighbor desperately trying to explain that she wasn't a racist, that it's an inside joke. My friend is Korean. Which of course just made her look worse. My mom lost it when she heard the story. My neighbor is morbidly obese and my mom is Korean. That story had a great start and did not disappoint. When I was in 5th grade, our teacher said a joke in front of the class and everyone laughed, including myself. After the laughter died down, a girl looked up at me and said, "You have a really damn disgusting laugh, EW." I became so self-conscious about laughter since that specific day, and after years I have trouble actually laughing. My brain kinda made it a habit to just smile or slightly chuckle at something, even if it is really funny. Edit. The girl's last name, when translated from my native language to English, is Cock. Have a nice day. Just belt it out. Fuck that bitch. Kinda engraved into my brain now, gotta work on it. I went through a phase where I scolded people for reading Harry Potter because my parents told me it was evil. Lots of awkward situations because of that. Oh my god, I can relate to scolding people for stupid shit that didn't matter. My parents were ultra-religious and taught me to have a really messed concept of men, sex, love, and relationships. When I was in middle school, I scolded so many of my friends for having crushes or getting boyfriends. I remember I lost one friend because I told her that it was disrespectful of her to have a boyfriend while also having a crush on Michael Bubble. I said some shit like her having a crush on Bubble while dating someone else was almost as bad as cheating. I always cringe and facepalm whenever I remember how much of a self-righteous dick I was. I totally deserved to be friend dumped. When I was in 6th grade in the gifted and talented group, one of the students couldn't read one of the books because it was about the Salem witch trials and their parents wouldn't let them. Junior prom, I blurted out during dinner to my date, "I'm so bored," and I have no idea why it came out of my mouth. I'm pretty well mannered and quiet. I forget how I tried to play it off, but I felt so bad. I was sitting in a small group of friends in school, and my crush, literally the love of my life at that point, admitted she liked me. It was the happiest moment of my entire life. So naturally I said EW. In front of everyone. This was second grade and I still think about it weekly. My friend in second grade made fun of me for liking a girl. He is now married to said girl. Edit, we had to send away to NASA to tabulate the number of people who said some form of he was playing the long game. I'll keep you guys posted. For most of my education, I went to public school and like most kids, I was socially awkward. For high school, I received an academic scholarship to a private Catholic school. It was a really big deal for my family. I didn't know anyone at the new school. Between an odd combination of academics, sports and the tail end of puberty, I became very popular in this new school. I wasn't used to the attention and it definitely got to my teenage head. Nearly all of my social circles became around the new school and not with my old local friends. I'm in my junior year, I head to a McDonald's for lunch with a few friends from the new school. Working the counter, I see a girl who I used to go to public school with that I used to have a crush on. She just lit up when she saw me, she was so excited, and I was a shitty teenager and I just ignored her. I pretended I didn't recognize her. She looked so deflated when I didn't acknowledge her. Note this was the IITs. My family moved a few times after that. I settled down in a different part of the country after university. I never made it back to that town. I've relived that asshole moment for years now. Fast forward to one of those nights when I relive that moment, and I decide to look her up on Facebook to apologize. I find out she died 10 years ago in an auto accident. Since I found out her fate, I feel even more awful about that moment. This one makes me feel bad, damn. For whatever it's worth, I think it says a lot about you that you at least tried to apologize for it years later. That's more than many people would have done. That is so sad. When I was 11, it was my first day at a new school and all the other students were also new. The maths teacher started our first class by asking each of us about our education background, what school we came from, what they taught in our last year's maths class, etc. Just trying to get a general idea of what kind of students he was dealing with. Thing is, I was so nervous that I spaced out for a bit and got lost in my overthinking mind, so I didn't hear the teacher's questions to my classmates. When it got to my turn, the teacher just said, "Now tell me about you," assuming I understood what kind of information he was expecting. I just went straight into a monologue that started with, "So I was born in the south zone of the city, but my mom decided to move to our current neighborhood a few months after divorcing my dad." And went on and on giving some very specific details about my short life. Everyone had a really confused look on their faces, and as soon as I realized the teacher was also completely lost, I stopped talking and went instantly red. The teacher then said, "That's all really great, but I was only interested in what happened last year, not the last 10, and everyone started laughing. Next day nobody remembered it anymore, but 12 years later it still comes to mind in pretty random moments. Edit, a typo. I think that is the key takeaway from these stories. No one remembers them but you. Or if anyone else does remember them, it's with the sort of sympathetic that must have been really embarrassing responses everyone's leaving on them here." Freshman year of high school. It was one of those days before school starts and you meet your teacher and your parents are there. My teacher was handing me a piece of paper and I didn't see the paper, so I shook his hand. He said, "Oh," and my mom said, And I panicked and said I just wanted to be polite. So I still want to die when I think of that. That's actually a good recovery. Somehow I feel your pain. Same happened to me at the airport. She held her hand out for my boarding pass, I shook it instead. The airport, lol. Sounds like a new Apple product. Bruh, I can't even begin to pinpoint one event. I guess one thing is when I was 11, I asked my teacher if I could go to the bathroom 3 times during class and told me number. And well, sure enough, I couldn't hold it any longer and there's bullying for the next 6 months. Literally shakes me in bed about how I have never felt that low before. Somehow I managed to live through it though, lol. We all got flaws. Mine is a bladder that urinates prematurely. Fuck teachers like that. You're not going to miss the most important lesson of your life if you're gone for 3 fucking minutes. I'd just get up and leave and deal with the consequences. It'd be better than pissing yourself. But at that age, you truly don't know what the right decision might be. There are teachers who have a "you are only allowed to go to the bathroom X amount of times during the semester" policy. I've also heard of teachers giving students extra credit for not using the bathroom in class. Teachers, don't do this. Don't make your kid choose if I go to the bathroom, I'm going to get in trouble / going to miss out on extra credit. In the adult world, you don't have to deal with this crap, you won't get you pay docked for using the bathroom at work. I was visiting Portland for a wedding that lined up with my birthday as well. We went out to celebrate and finished the night at a karaoke bar. Realizing I'm too drunk to sing, I pick My Name Is by Eminem as my song to perform. There's 2 versions of that song. One is the original release, the other tamed down, which you most commonly hear today. The woman controlling the music put on the original, and off I went. One of the lines at the end is running over lesbians in a spaceship while they scream at me, let's just be friends. I finish the song and I'm met by applause from my friends and one other table. The rest of the place is silent. The DJ goes, nice job. Don't know if it was the best choice for gay women's night though. And at that moment I wanted to leave my skin. This is very painful. I tried redeeming myself with a wholesome Bill Withers song, but the damage was done. My party trick in high school was that I could rap the fast part of Rap God. When I was a freshman in college, I was hanging out with my friends one night. We were all pretty drunk, but I was probably the most wasted. So I decided to bust out my old party trick. Hey guys, turn on Rap God. Somewhere out there is a video of me lying wasted on the floor of a dorm room, rapping Rap God as fast as my drunk little mouth would go. Chloe, if you're reading this, can you delete that video for me? Fuck no dude.